There comes a time in a man's life when he must acknowledge that he has a twin. And that twin is the person that must, I don't know. I'm so hyped from the chapter, I don't know what to say. One Piece chapter 1134, twinning. Nah, that's not the title. I don't even know what the title is. Either way, wow. I don't know where to start. Let's start with Frankie. The voice actor for Frankie has stepped down for health reasons, I believe, and will be replaced. We have an announcement at Jump Festa as far as who is replacing him. I just want to give him his flowers for how much he's contributed to One Piece and...
Good smell. Flavor.
To my experience of One Piece, I think Frankie's voice is one of those that stand out. The iconic super. It does no wrong, right? It does no wrong. So I genuinely want to say thank you to Frankie's voice actor, Kazuki Yao. Just, retirement. He's retiring, not for health reasons. He's just retiring. He's old. Not the oldest one, but he's old. So that's, wanted to give him his flowers because the cover story, there were all the Straw Hats were riding on Frankie, and I think it's a homage to Frankie. But I also want to say that this is the time. Every time this happens, Robin and Nami, we got to judge who has the best fit. Now, I think Nami has the best fit, but I think Robin has more appeal in this one. You guys can let me know below. Who do you choose? Nami or Robin? This time, because I'd chosen Nami the last 5 times, Robin gets the choice for me. I don't know if it's Robin tax because we're in Elbaf. He just met Saul. She just got a haircut. It's nostalgia. I don't know. But right now, I got Robin. Now, to the chapter, ladies and gentlemen. To the freaking chapter. She found them. She found the people that were willing to protect her, stand up for her, be there for her that Saul foresaw or expected or would have loved for Robin to meet. Robin met these people, and I love Luffy stepping up and saying, hey, Saul, I appreciate you putting my youngin' on that path to success. And as her captain, I thank you. And so I was like, hey. I like when Luffy introduces himself and he kind of forgets who he is. Not in the sense of literally forgetting who he is, but just like, bro, you gotta understand who you are. Monkey D. Luffy, and that name reverberates through the One Piece world. More than likely, everyone knows who you are, right? And so Saul is like, yo, I know who you are. He's like, damn, really? But you can't help but love Robin's crew and their reaction to just Saul saying, yo, you finally found them. And they're like, yo, we're gonna protect you forever. Which, my morbid mind at times, I'm just like, did something happen to Robin here? I don't want to jump, but it's just, let me get that out of my head. Let's move on. Saul, he talks about just rehearsing everything that happened in this moment, preparing for Robin. Because you can imagine, right? We've all been there. We've seen a friend that we haven't seen in a long time. We don't know how to interact with them. We don't know. I don't know. They have new interests. Do they still even care about some of the things back then? I don't know. So it's just like, all right, let's see how it goes. It might be awkward, but let's see how it goes. Saul created an entire scenario, a skit, just to interact and meet Robin because he wasn't sure. So I understood that to his core. But there's some controversy in this chapter. Now, it's a loud minority. I'd say that. I'll let you guys know. But people are now up in arms. What does that mean? Up in arms? Is this up in arms? Anyway, people are up in arms about Vegapunk, specifically Stella, not quite being gone. Now, I've talked about this before. I felt like Stella was still around and will still be around just because even his creations, Lilith, Shaka, those things, they are basically factions or his offspring. They're parts of his mind. So you bring just all of these things together, what you get? Quasar. So technically, the consciousness of Stella isn't back yet, but the clone that he made exists. So essentially, what it seems like is that they're going to build a lab on Elbaf, and then they're going to reconstruct. Somehow, it seems like they're going to try to reintegrate Stella's consciousness into his cloned body that came to Elbaf 20 years ago. Now, some people are mad saying Stella has to remain dead. The impact of the story. Guys, I know you're tired of hearing that because we had quite an eventful week last week considering just how some deaths happened or some undeaths, and this one could be viewed as such. I don't think this is a big deal at all considering life and death. What was one of the main focuses and themes of Egghead, in my opinion, and also belief, right? Belief in such. And so in my opinion, I don't mind Stella being alive or dead. If Stella remains dead, his consciousness, if he comes back to life, it is what it is. Technically, he never really died in my mind, considering that his devil fruit was still active and Punk Records still existed. So him coming back, it's much ado about nothing for me. That's just how it feels for me. And honestly, Stella is not back until you hear Quasar. But the fact that they have the body from 20 years ago, it's all about inevitable, all right? Perception versus reality. That's one of the main things I talk about on this channel from time to time in regards to what people perceive something to be and what the reality of the situation is. And then generally in One Piece, it gets turned on its head very often, right? Because gossip travels faster than anything in One Piece. The news coup, it can't keep up because one thing spreads, people start. It's like a game of telephone. One thing and one thing. By the time it gets to the other person, it's the craziest story you can think of. But in this case, it's a perception of what Elbaf should be. We meet Angie, right? Saul's assistant that's helping him out, and we meet some of the kids that's being reared there on Elbaf. And I don't know, initially when I was reacting to it, I called it woke bath. Not saying that. However, they've been conditioned, okay? They now play video games. They don't go outside as much, right? They are shut-ins. They don't like the violence. Don't even like being called you. These group of children is of a different breed. And man, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about this? I love it just because, again, we had a staunch perception of Elbaf, like the war country. Everybody here wants war. Then you have the kids like, war? What do you mean, war turtle? My favorite Pokemon? Our new favorite girl, Ripley, tells us as much. Slander, violence, plunder, war. That is not the era we are in anymore. And I thought that was so ironic considering we're about to plunge into that, right? It's about to be very disgustingly destructive because of what the world government have their hands on. And again, we're heading into the end game of the story. So for the warland to now be somewhat domesticated in the worst possible time. Now, what I think about is, do they have a prophecy like Wano did? Do they have something saying, hey, this is what's going to come about? Are people actively ignoring the prophecy? Because man, we got to talk about the king, but also real quick, shout out to Ripley again, because Ripley, believe it or not, she is spectacular. Yes, that was on purpose. Yes. I was thinking, did King Harold get fused with Queen Otohime? No, seriously, King Harold and what Ripley was saying about him and what he wanted, I don't think he's necessarily wrong about what he wanted, saying we're not going to fight with the other nations, we're going to trade with them. And my thing is like, no, we're not going to fight with the other nations, we're going to trade with them. But if they want to fight, we can fight. And so for him, somewhat disregarding the culture, the history of Elbaf, I think, in my opinion, that's a fireable offense. We got to get rid of you. So low-key, if you packed them up, good. Don't get rid of the culture. Yes, trade. No, we don't fight. Just in case, we packed that thing too. It said that Harold was bumping heads with elders from various villages. And so I think, yeah, what happened to him? No coincidence. This guy kind of brought it on himself. I mean, in general, when we think about some of the kings and the royals of different places in the One Piece world, a lot of them just dropped the ball, right? Not King Riku. You can't prepare for that, right? Dalton, things just happen, you know? But Sukiyaki, what are we doing? Shout out to Cobra. Cobra was another good one as well. But some of these guys, I mean, Sukiyaki is, all right, we're not going to do that. It is what it is, but man, I understand he cared for his country. He wanted his country to be different, be viewed different. Would not be surprised if he wanted his country to come under the establishment of the world government and kind of be united with the nations and be allied, considering I'm sure there's a lot of discrimination that takes place in regards to the giants. And so maybe if you understand us more, understand us better, you won't discriminate as much. And it's like, no, that's always going to happen because people are people, and people, you know, they don't understand things that they don't understand. That makes no sense. They are going to judge, they're going to be scared of, they're going to be fearful of, they're going to want to eradicate things that they do not understand. So for the giants, if they can't control them, they're going to want to get rid of them or do something so that they know that we can do something if you ever go awry. And so, my goodness. A few things that we got to address really quickly. Luffy, right? Ripley wanted to see his white form, and Luffy responds that's his freedom form. Ripley then responds by saying, well, there's a story here about a giant in that form as well. So I'm like, okay, is that something that Loki feels like he can tap into? Does Loki have an alternate way of tapping into that? Because he feels like he's the sun god. Why do you think that is? Then here we go to the library, the Owl Library, where basically it's actually insanity because every book you take into this library, it gets gigantified. What? Big Mom is somewhere with her fists balled up saying, are you freaking kidding me? I went through all this and we had an owl that could do this. Ha one, ha two, ha three. Some people get that reference. But for Big Mom, it's more things building up for me to start to think Big Mom is going to be here, guys. Big Mom is going to be in Elbath, whether you like it or not. There's so many good things. I think Mondor would be great. I'll talk about it. But either way, I think that's fantastical. An owl, what is it, a devil fruit? I mean, typically when something is magical and something is out of this world, it's a devil fruit, right? I mean, we have a few exceptions. Miss Golden Week, a few exceptions, but generally it is a devil fruit. So I'm waiting and seeing. Now let's go to the underworld where Loki is, and Loki's having a conversation with someone. We don't know who it is necessarily, but the conversation, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Initially when I was reading it, I'm like, whoa, is he talking to Kid? Because he said, man, if I was there, I would have. And it's like because of his hatred for Shanks, I was like, whoa, wasn't Kid. Was not Kid. As of that we know of. Somebody had the theory that, yo, what if it's Kid, but he has amnesia? And like, no more amnesia. Plot lines, just stop. I'm sick. But how Loki talks about things with this person, it almost feels like they are, dare I say, lovers and friends. He kind of speaks with her in a calm demeanor, one that's somewhat reassuring, and it's just like, is this a guy? I mean, it gives us Loki, that's okay. But is it a guy? Things in his dialogue with Mosako, because that's the name he said about the person on the phone, the things about Loki that are being revealed through his dialogue, which I'm like, whoa, it was right there before our very eyes about Loki and what he stands for, what he did, and what he is. And so it's just like, at this point, my opinion of Loki has not necessarily changed. It's been somewhat reaffirmed. We'll talk about it. Don't worry. We'll definitely talk about it. But the main sting about this chapter, we being in the community, have had a theory about Shanks having a twin for the longest time. And in this chapter, we see Stabs and someone else, a female more than likely with bandages, pull up to Elbath through a summoning circle. Now, it could be similar to the Gorosei where they were summoned by someone else. It could be a mole here, somebody that has been on Elbath, or it could be an item that they had just a pinpoint and they could be using that to summon themselves. But holy crap, this is groundbreaking. Like, I wish we didn't use that as much as we did. This is truly bro. Everything's changed. Everything we thought we knew, we don't actually. Stabs, he went to tell the Gorosei about a pirate. Did he tell the pirate about his brother or his cousin or his clone? Is he a clone, right? For Stabs, was he the one that stopped Kaido, right? With Stabs, was he the one that, okay, Shanks was the one to pull up his Marineford. But who is this person? Why did it look just like Shanks, right? Because people say, well, it's obviously a twin. I'm like, yeah, it's not. There's nothing wrong with being a twin. And twins looking identical, that's the simplest thing in the world. It's very similar haircut and a similar goatee. That's where we go a little like, okay, hear what I'm not saying. I know they're twins that live in the same household and, they cut their hair the same way, they get used to it. For Shanks, he was a baby when he got found by Roger. And for this person, Stabs, I'm assuming he grew up around Garling. His hair, we haven't seen his entire hair. He could have a ponytail back there, right? Like, possibly. I think we need that. Because he has 2 arms and a ponytail. We're not going to get too mixed up, but man, Oda has a chance to do something very interesting with Stabs, just because you literally have Shanks without having Shanks. We got Shanks at home. This is who this guy is. So you can play around with this so well that can please the fans. He can have fun without the repercussions of, well, this guy is Monkey D. Red hair Shanks. For Garland, D Shanks. He's not a D. But man, guys, give me your thoughts. More videos to come about Shanks and why this is significant and why this is a true game changer. Like, subscribe to the channel for more content like this because more is coming. More conversations are coming, maybe not even by myself, about Shanks and twinning. I don't know. Like the video, subscribe. Thanks to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. We just started Breaking Bad. If you guys want to check that out, link in the description down below. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.